That'll work. How's it going? Do you ever sleep? So the good news is we got packaging done. I ended up sleeping at the shop last night. Didn't feel very well. Vicky was under the weather too, so. So Vicky woke me up at about 8 a.m. I'm like, oh my god, I normally get up at 5. So today we're going to be working on some shafts. I've got a lot of arms to cut out. So I plan on making a bunch of the Turkish spindle shafts, and then maybe do 3 or 4 Russian spindles. Yeah, very late. We got done with the packaging, got some tacos, relaxed for a while. Yeah, packaging was a little rough this morning. We're both kind of under the weather. So I know I want to work on the segmented bowls over the weekend, but I didn't end up doing that. So I worked on this. This is a new size spindle. And then I went through and I made this. So this gives me the ability to use the CNC machine to cut out like the standards. So I can do that during the day while I'm working on other things. So when I start getting older and start losing my ability to cut straight, you know, we got that. So a couple of them are going to be cut on the CNC machine, but the majority are still going to be fully made by hand. No, it's the same thickness. But yeah, the new ones are bigger. They're wider. These are 4.5 inch. These are 6. So I mean, the only real giveaway is that center hole having the rounded over edges. It's almost like I used the same pattern for both. Well, so this is cut with an eighth inch bit, so a tiny bit. But since it's like a drill bit, it's always going to be round. So it's always going to have that little bit of a round chamfer to it, if you will. So the eighth inch bits are going to wear out faster than the quarter inch. But if I use a quarter inch bit, I'm going to have, you know, a quarter inch of just waste here and a quarter inch here. So that's a half inch. And then 2 inch, so you'd have to have it 2 inches bigger than you need just because of the cutting. A little bit of vibration. We'll go down to a 6 inch on this one. And those bits I've been getting a 10 pack. I just got my first 10 pack, and it's $40, so they're $4 each. Hey Kathleen, how's it going? So even if I only cut out 12 with one bit, it's marginal as far as the price. So we're making shafts for Turkish style drop spindles today. So they're used to spin yarn. It's what came before the spinning wheel. So it's something that I can, you know, turn on in the background while I'm doing other things. I have to tweak the G-code a little bit. So right now it takes, I think, 14 minutes to cut this out. So I think I could probably get it down to about 10 minutes per. And then it's just 10 minutes times however many you want. But you know, there's setup time, so I figure about 4 an hour, 3 an hour probably would be a better estimation. So let's say 14, 15 a day on top of everything else that's going on. And unfortunately, I don't want to live stream while it's happening just because it's loud. So on the printers, we are printing out, we'll go take a peek. I just got the A1 Mini running. I did some stuff on the X1 Carbons this morning. But we are printing the TPU again. We're printing the Destiny arms today. Now for TPU, that is freaking amazing. Very little stringing. This is printing beautifully. Now, I did end up swapping out the nozzle, so there's a new nozzle in there. But the purple is still not printing very well at all. So yeah, this stuff has been a nightmare. I haven't tried it with the new nozzle, but I'm thinking this roll might be garbage. But I'll keep playing with it. But yeah, it's working out pretty good. Just printing out a glow-in-the-dark 45 over here. So, yep. They'll all be running, just not today. So I made this template here. So you would take the blank, put it on here, then clamp it down. Well, everything is built around the center hole. So by doing it that way and clamping it down, I know I'm in the center. So I have the CNC machine starting in the dead center on here and then building it out. So it's just a matter of putting one in, cutting it out, putting the next one in, cutting it out. So I was thinking about cutting it out first and then drilling the hole second, but this way I don't have to worry about it. She's got her headphones in. I'm forcing her to listen to Smashing Pumpkins. Deanne says hi. Deanne says hi. Hi. There you go. All right. Let's go back a little bit more. I want to get an 8-inch shaft out of there. Yeah, so that full bed of the turquoise ones, it's an 11-hour print. Hello guys, welcome in. Do they break a lot? No, not really. Hey Joseph. Right? Yeah, we got a nice little shop here. Yep, so this is the workshop area here, so I got my my lathe set up here. I got a lathe on the other side with buffing wheels on. Little sanding station over there. My main scroll saw, little drill press, CNC machine, bandsaw, table saw. Did I say chop saw? Chop saw. Then we got the 3D printers, then laser engravers, another drill. Up front is more packaging and brake area, and in the back we got wood storage, then we got a secondary back room, and then we got a basement as well. So, yeah. Little 126-year-old building that we're working out of. You know, nobody ever posts the verses of the Bible that tells you, you know, what the appropriate age to sell your daughter into slavery, or if a girl gets raped, she has to marry the rapist. They never put that up there. I am turning shafts on a lathe right now. So we're turning hard maple. Hey Silk, how's it going? So, these arms are bird's eye maple. See the little bird's eyes? Winner, winner, chicken dinner, JJ. I've got some curly white oak that is just gorgeous. I did have some quilted stuff, but I think that was a couple days back. Yep, these were the original fidget spinner. Yeah, turning's relaxing. I enjoy it. I do make a bunch of exotic ones as well. I just don't have any on the bench today. But we could go take a peek at my wood. We can do that. Now, we're getting ready for a few shows, so our lumber supply is starting to get a little bit low again. So we got some ash, a little bit of tiger maple. Well, this is that piece that's quilted. Look at that. That is just gorgeous. And we're almost out of bird's eye. I got some Dymalux cut down here. This is resin impregnated. We got some Mexican ebony, some Cadillacs, some African Paduke, some Purple Heart, some Bacote. Stuff's gorgeous. Then we got some Red Heart, some Leopard Wood, some Canary Wood. Then we got some walnuts, some Bolivian Rosewood, Red Zebra Wood. Then we got some Osage Orange. Yeah, the Purple Heart's gorgeous. It's just a pain in the butt to work with. Likes to burn. Then we got some White Wangay. Oh yeah, I do pens on occasion, not a whole lot. I think I got like between a dozen and 20 for the next shows. Some Brazilian cherry, and this is that curly white oak. It's hard to say because when he planed it, it got a little dark. I didn't bother sending it through the drum sander. We'll sand it out after it's cut out. But yeah, and then we got aromatic cedar and some bigger stuff down here. Pens are pretty easy. It's just there's a lot to them. This is mahogany. So you kind of have to have a special setup for pens. Like here's one of my pen boxes. So I got the mandrel in there and that kind of stuff. And then I got the pen presses. I don't use this vise, but that's a pen vise for drilling the center hole. I drill my holes on the lathe itself. But yeah, just a bunch of stuff. It's got to be a pretty slow bug. How are the bricks looking? They're looking pretty good. Go look at those too. So I'm going to be starting another batch probably midweek. So I've been making briquettes out of my sawdust and cardboard I have laying around. So that's a cardboard that's been shredded and it's been sitting in the water for a few days to break down. Then I got sawdust from me working. So I mix that together with water and then I press it in here. These handles are supposed to press it down, but they're kind of weak. So I actually use a jack in the stand to press it down. Yeah, a lot of it is boxed. So this stuff's all ready to burn. So that one's full, that one's full, that one's full. These are taking a little bit longer. You know, my mills around me have not had Coco Bolo for the last year. I really wish they would. So these are just about there. So I just let them dry in the air. It's still a little bit wet. So I'm assuming probably this is unheated out here and it is hot. So these should be done. Hopefully by Wednesday, I'll get those boxed up. And then we'll start again. So yeah, so cardboard, all the paper I get waste, I shred it. So I just put it into the shredder here, or this shredder here, or this shredder here. So I get these paper shredders at thrift stores. They're like $5 each. So this one has a mechanism on it, like a safety mechanism, where if that gets bumped, it'll stop. So I actually cut that away so cardboard will fit into it. So I use these till they stop working, and then I hope I'll be nice and warm in the winter. So we'll see. You know, I burn my scrap. Hang on. You know, so whenever I cut out the arms or stuff, I have little pieces left. So I burn all this stuff in the fireplace too. Hey, 83, welcome in. All right, now I got to get back to work. But yeah, they're turning out nicely. We'll see how they burn. They should burn fine, I mean. I'll probably end up getting a face cord of wood anyways, but if I can, you know, burn those as well. So we don't depend on the fireplace for heat, but it's nice coming home and starting up a fire or waking up in the morning, take the chill out of the air. So this is ready for sanding. Also maple. Hello, welcome in. So my blower is officially on its last leg. The brushes are gone, so there's rubbing now. So I ordered another one this morning, so it'll be here tomorrow. And my Bluetooth headset that I use, I was blowing it out with a handheld blower, and I didn't have my earplugs in, and one got sucked into the in-feed, so now I'm wearing the Mega Muffs. Not really something you want to be wearing when it's 81 degrees out. So, yeah, this thing will be 3 years old in October, so I got my money's worth out of it. The one I ordered is still an R-Tech, it's just the next size up. AirTech, whatever. Alright, I have to go grab a fan. I'll give you the best view in the shop. Alright, let's get back to work. Vicky's on sanding duty, yep. Yeah, I'm gonna start my sanding duty here probably maybe tomorrow. Sometimes I think Deion's just here because I have a spooky basement here. Oh, it's a spooky basement. Spindle making is a lot like spooky basements. And I think the worst part is, the only shadow figure I ever saw wasn't in the basement, it was up here. So, what are you gonna do? Maybe he got sick of hanging out by the water heater. I'm like a car crash. People just watch. So if you're new to the stream, my name's Scott. This channel's all about making stuff. This is actually my day job. I've been making these full-time for the last 13 plus years. I'm not familiar with Mayo, but when I lived in the UP, I would have to agree. It's paste wax. I've used beeswax in the past. I'm from Wisconsin. I went to school up in the UP. So I went to Suomi University, actually Suomi College in Hancock, and then they changed their name to Finlandia University. And then they closed, I think last year. So there is a fiber show in Allegan that I haven't done in quite a few years. I should probably apply to it. Hey gaming, welcome in. Yeah, so my college was right by Michigan Tech. So, small private college, and then right across the river was Michigan Tech. So, there's definitely much better partying opportunities across the river. Black walnut. So these still have to be sanded and balanced yet. I'm just pairing up arms with them. Well, welcome back. You didn't miss much. Hey Jose, how's it going? Welcome in. That's my fan fault. Yes, so I'm using this wire to burn. So this is just picture framing wire, picture frame hanging wire. It's a lot thicker. I unravel it and then I take two pieces and then ply it together to give me the thickness I want. A lot of people use guitar strings. I just got a lot of this wire. So I'll use it. I'll use one little area till it burns out. Then I'll clip it and then make it shorter and shorter and shorter. Yep, this is wax. Excuse me. Yep. So, it is paste finishing wax. That's what it was for. Chewing. I don't know about swallowing, but yeah. All the paraffin wax you can eat. Bad wolf. And don't forget, bow ties are cool. So are fezzes. Yeah, AMC Plus. Has Doctor Who streaming. I'm on season 6 right now. That's cool. Well, it could be worse, you know. I mean, if you add in, I like to torture small animals, and I wet the bed a lot. You know, those would be kind of a bad things to all be compiled together. Well, no. Pyromania, torturing animals, and wetting the bed are all like classic serial killer things. Characteristics, there you go. Hey! Vicky found her back scratcher. It was, that's why you clean your table. Hey, Dion, you know where he was from? He was from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin. Ed Gein, also from Wisconsin. Plainfield, Wisconsin, which is northwest of me, and Milwaukee is south of me. No, I'm just saying that it's kind of weird that two of the most prolific serial killers in America came from my hometown. Not my hometown, my home state. I mean, John Wayne Gacy was from Illinois. That's south of me. Well, you know, they were also like 80 years apart from each other, 50 years apart from each other. That's a good thing I already filter my water, so we're good. There are. But there's a lot of good people out there too. So you take the good, you take the bad, you take the both, and then you have the facts of life. I was all excited. I was like, what's canting? Canting. Camping. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I still sleep in a tent. How many do we have to make today? Well, Trigga, I got, it's pretty much open. I'd like to get like 20 of these done today, but we'll see. Yeah, I've been making these full-time for a little over 13 years. If I would guess, I'm probably in the tens of thousands, probably in the 30 to 40,000 range. If I'd have to ponder a guess. The next one we'll walk through and I'll tell you what I'm doing. How many can I make per hour? Well, we kind of do batch work. So these should take, about 5 minutes. So 12 an hour of these. Probably a little bit more than that. Well, you have to realize that's with it. That's, 13 years. So you need to find a niche product that isn't overly popular. If these were like really popular, then there wouldn't be, I couldn't do it for a living because big companies would come in and start dumping them out. Over the last couple of years now, they have Turkish spindles on like Temu. They're garbage and people know they're garbage, but yeah, it's hard to compete against, China and India. Hey Solomon, how's it going? Welcome in. Yeah, the more you do something, the easier it gets. Hello, 51. Welcome in. There's a point when everything kind of becomes muscle memory. Alright, so we're starting out with a piece of hard maple. So I get my doweling directly from the doweling manufacturer. They're made per order. I'm not getting them from a big box store or anything. So these are hard maple. And I order them oversized because these are coming off a big commercial machine for spinning wool. Yep. For fiber. Alright. So now I'm going to bring it down to the biggest size with my roughing gouge. And I'm going to be using this box end wrench as a caliper. Or a spanner, huh? Alright. Now I've got lines drawn on here. This is an 8-inch shaft that we're shooting for. And this is my story stick. This has the dimensions on it. So this line here is where my taper ends. So I'm just going to go to that line. Start bringing the diameter down. So now that we're getting close, we're going to switch from the roughing gouge to a spindle gouge. So this one doesn't take up as much material, but it leaves a nicer finish. Now I'm going to shut the lathe off while I'm backing off the tailstock. So I'm clamped in a 4-jaw chuck on this side, so it's held in. I'm going to see how this is turning. So this is turning nice. The lathe is spinning at 3,564 RPMs right now. It looks like it's standing still. But if you look over here, I'm going to shut it off. There we go. Now I put on my little arm jig there. Now, I'm going to take my story stick. I have a notch cut out, so I'm going to register it against my jig there. And then transfer over the lines I need. So I'm making an 8-inch shaft. Now I'm going to lay in the beads. I'm going to use this beading tool. So it's basically just a V shape. So you can see I'm doing a lot of supporting. That's because this is so thin that if I didn't support it, they wouldn't turn out. I'm going to take my skew, lay out the finial on the top, define the diameter underneath, go back to my gouge here and blend those lines together. Then we'll take the wire, my little garrote. We're going to burn in 2 lines between the beads. Turn the lathe down and start sanding. So we're going to start with a medium grit, then a fine grit. We'll turn the speed of the lathe back up, take some wood chips, and we're going to burnish the surface. Think of the burnishing like a friction polish. And then we're going to take a little bit of paste wax. So we're done now between centers, and that just means I'm clamped in over here. Over here I've got a pin in it. It's a live center, so there's a bearing, so it's spinning. And they do make dead centers that don't spin. They're mainly used for metalworking. So I'm going to form the finial. Sand it out. Burnish. And wax. So I'm going to take my skew, we're going to remove it from the lathe. So I'm just going to support it. So we're currently spinning at 3,564. Take the skew, cut it off to a point. And there we go. Yep, so this is a new size. So this is the standard. So this is 4.5 inches long. This is 6 inches long, so it's going to hold a little bit more. So we'll see how those go over. Hey, not a problem. So what I'm going to put, so I looked to where the center was, then I clamped it down, I adjusted it, and I'm going to start the lathe up before I put in my tailstock. So the live center isn't in there. Now, with these, if I would take a center finder and mark the center on this, since I have a center finder right here, might as well. So one would think that if I would mark the center, I could just push that in the center. Hey, Shar, yes, yes. Bow ties are cool. Now, that is the center of this plane right here. That's not necessarily the center of the entire shaft, all right? So if you just stick it right in there and turn it, it might be off quite a bit, and then it wouldn't be a straight shaft. So I'm going to start the lathe up, and a little wiggle on there, and then set that in. Yeah, I'm currently rewatching Doctor Who. I'm currently on season 6 of the reboot. So we're just getting into, well, actually I'm rewatching season 5 with Vicky. So we're just to Amelia Pond, actually Amy Pond now, but yeah. You know, the blue chick from Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, going through how I set this up, they're not all going to be good. Wood's a natural material. There's internal stresses in wood, so they won't all turn out. But we do the best we can. So the little piece I have in the lathe will either be used for another spindle, a smaller one. I have a couple other projects that I might be using them for. I might be making a little ink loom next year. So I make these in a bunch of different sizes. The smallest I make is a 4 1/4 inch size, and then the largest I make is 10 inches. So this is kind of a specialty thing. So 8 inches is like most of the production stuff is 8 inches. Yep, so the next show is coming up. We have Wisconsin Sheep and Wool in September. And then in October, we're going to be at Lambstown Festival in Dixon, California, which is about a half hour away from Sacramento. going to be our first year. And then at the end of the month, we'll be at SAF, which is in Fletcher, North Carolina, which is by Asheville. So we got 3 big shows. Well, 2 big shows I know of. The third one, we'll see. It's going to be California's going to be an experiment, a trial run. So normally we do a 10-foot by 20-foot double booth. For this show, for the one in California, we're just packing some suitcases, throwing some stuff in it. So we're only going to have a single table. Just because it's going to be, 4 to 5 days there, 4 to 5 days back, plus the show. Next thing you know, you're gone for 2 weeks. I've never been to the West Coast, so kind of looking forward to that. I think the furthest west I've ever been is Dallas, Texas. We do most of our shows Midwest or East Coast. Alright, so we are going to be focusing on a few 7-inch shafts. Throwing a couple lines there. Yeah, tomorrow we're getting a delivery. I'm getting a bunch more wood in. So I could focus on some other things. I'm getting a bunch of thicker net. Can you tell I had a soda that's sitting next to that? Anyways, getting a bunch of some thicker doweling in for that. That one's just hard maple. On occasion, we'll do some exotics. Most of the shafting is hard maple, but yeah. Yeah, I do have some exotic blanks here. I got some Paduke and Purple Heart. Vera wood, Argentina Ligamente, and then some zebra. Yeah, when I turn ebony, it's like, ooh. Everything kind of puckers. So with the exotic woods, normally the arms will be the exotic parts. So when I cut it down, if I have a piece that's big enough, it'll turn into a wooden pen before it turns into a shaft. Unless it's too thin for a pen, or if it's something, you know, if I'm making, I don't know, let's say a Wenge spindle, I might want to pair it up with the Wenge shaft. But that's when things start getting numbered and like Babinga? It's fun to say. Yeah, Babinga's kind of a orangey brown color. Yeah. I really like Kingwood. It's a rosewood. It's kind of a dark, kind of purpley color. About 5 years ago, maybe longer ago, the mill had a bunch, and I bought a bunch. It's just gorgeous. And then I asked the mill about it. Like, oh yeah, we're never buying that again. I'm like, oh great, it's expensive. It's pretty though. Yeah, I have a feeling that the mill I get the stuff from, all the spontaneous tariffs we had really killed them bringing the stuff up. So a lot of the South American exotic woods, they get barged up. And they get bought by a distributor who then has auctions to sell it off. So I just got a feeling that's why the amount I have here is... Yeah, we really lucked out with the workshop. We're actually about 3/4 of a mile away from our house. So this would be the downtown, which doesn't exist anymore. Like many small towns, there is no downtown. So I'm in one of those really long brick buildings with another building butted up against it, with another building butted up against it. So the only thing still alive on this block is we have a bar in the corner, we have another bar 2 doors or 3 doors down, and we have the public library. And that's all there is left. There used to be a bakery, a restaurant, another 3 taverns, a pizza place. So growing up, there was a silk screening company in this building, and the building next to us. The 2 buildings are connected. We got a big metal fire door separating the buildings. So the person in the next door is a woodworker as well. So it's loud between, it's just a metal door, so he can hear what I'm doing when he's at work, and I can hear what he's doing. Yeah, I walk to work. Well, today was probably the second time I didn't walk to work in the last 2 months, but I slept here last night, so it wouldn't make sense for me to wake up, walk home, and turn around and walk back. So. All right, let's check on the 3D printers. I think we're just about done with this job. Yeah, it's done. So we'll see how we can do it one-handed. Take a look. These don't look half bad. They look all bad. Dun, 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 dun. Play with the heat a little bit. All right, and when I said I slept here last night, yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm sleeping on the floor. That's about as exciting as the day gets. So a big thing when you're doing production work is the turning's always going to take X amount of time. So it's kind of like NASCAR, where the pit time is more important than anything else. So I keep all my tools and everything I need. They're all in the same location. I know exactly where they are. I don't have to look for them. There's nothing worse than trying to track down a pencil when you're working. So my pencil, I keep on my tailstock. I glued a rare earth magnet to it so I can stick it on there. My arm jig, magnet, stuck there. The wire I used to burn, magnet, stuck there. My wrenches, I have magnets on my lathe, so that's where they live. So the key for my chuck, I have on a magnet next to my lathe. All my tools are in the same locations. All right, now we got that we have to make. So yeah, I think Wednesday and Thursday I'm probably going to be working on some Russian spindles and some top whirls. So I'll actually be doing something different for a change, which happens once in a while. I think these are what I'm best known for. This is the majority of what I sell. Cha-ching. Nice. Alright, this one is not very straight. You can see how not straight it is. So normally this one I would set aside and cut in half and try to get a smaller one out of it. Even though we're making a 6-inch, we'll see if we can get one out of here or not. So this is 50-50. Yeah, slight vibration in that, on the top there. So let's try that again. So rather than, we'll go down to a 4 1/4. And the worst case scenario is it goes in my fireplace. I mean, we're back. Yeah, that one's really bad. I'm getting towards the bottom of my pile here. Hello! How's it going, my friend? Welcome in. Okay today. I'm still a little bit under the weather. So we're kind of taking it easy today. Oh, yeah, yeah. There you are, 90. So I did work this weekend. Yesterday was mainly I was doing some design work for the CNC machine, and it's a good day. I have to vote tomorrow. So tomorrow is just trying to bring down the number of candidates. We got a mayor, no, we got a governor election coming up. So that wire is just a picture frame hanging wire. Nope. That's why they make more sandpaper. I will recover that piece when I switch the bag out. Yeah, so it's picture frame hanging wire. So it's got like 7 strands or 8 strands, and I take it apart and then I reply it with 2 strands. A lot of people use guitar strings. This is just what I have. So let me grab a piece. This is what it looks like. So this came with a kit, and I used to buy the kits because I used another component out of the kits. So I have a whole bunch of this stuff. See, just to make the line as thick as I want it. So this stuff will break, it will wear out and break. So that's why this wire is so long. That's why it's that long. Because when it breaks, I just shorten it, shorten it, shorten it. Well, bicycle breaker cable would be a lot thicker, but yeah, stranded cable. I mean, it's nothing special, it's just what I had. And we're back. Oh, not a problem. No problems with questions. Oh, we're doing 6. Hello, 3630. How's it going? Welcome in. Make it to What is going on with my internet today? Bad internet. See? Bad internet. Usually my internet's pretty good. It's never been great, but not too bad. Or maybe it's YouTube. I don't know. Now it says it's 65% humidity, but it feels a lot worse than that. got a bad review on Etsy today. The person was pissed because they bought a supported spindle. That looked like this. Well, in the pictures, we have a spinning bowl just for taking pictures. And in the description, it says spindle bowl not included. I guess they didn't read the description, so they were mad that they didn't get a spindle bowl. I'm pretty mad when I bought my the supermodel that I saw in the commercial. And it's not like it was in fine print. You know, this spindle, blah, blah, blah. Spindle bowl not included, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what are you going to do? So I could leave a reply, but then that review is stuck forever. So I'll probably ignore it. we are having some serious connection issues. So I think I'm just going to finish this one up and call it a stream, guys. I don't want to sit here for another 20 minutes with it cutting out all the time. Yeah, it was worth a try. Try again tomorrow.